Welcome to our 5-minute Bible study in the book of Genesis. Today we are in Genesis chapter 42. We're in the midst of the story of Joseph. Now, this time Joseph has been raised to prime minister of Egypt. God has providentially arranged that. And because of Joseph's interpretations of Pharaoh's dreams given by God, telling of the 7 years of abundance that were coming to be followed by the 7 years of famine, Pharaoh raised Joseph up to be in charge of the land. Now, during the 7 years of abundance, they collected from the overflow and stored and prepared. And then when the famine began, the food was there that Joseph could feed the people. And also other nations around Egypt began to come and buy food from Egypt. And this, of course, sets the scene for Joseph's reunion with his brothers. For the famine has hit Canaan as well. And Jacob sends his sons to Egypt where they've heard there's food for sale to buy some that they might survive. 10 of his sons come, but Jacob refuses to send Benjamin. He will not take a chance on losing Benjamin. So the 10 brothers come, present themselves before the Egyptian court to buy food. Joseph recognizes them immediately. Now keep in mind, it's been over 20 years since he's seen his brothers, since they've seen him. Of course, they assume he's dead, perished long ago in slavery. But he recognizes them. He does not speak with them directly. He lets them think he cannot speak their language. He talks through an interpreter. They do not know it's Joseph. And so begins this rather elaborate story as Joseph puts them to the test. He accuses them first of being spies. They say, no, we're all brothers. We're sons of one man. There were 12 of us. One is no more. It's Joseph. One, the youngest, is at home with our father. We just want to buy food to keep our family alive. Joseph says, the only way you can prove to me you're not lying is to send back and have your younger brother brought here that I may know you're telling me the truth. They're not willing to do that. I want to read to you a few verses that come in the middle of the story. When Joseph is being so harsh with them, the brothers say to one another, surely we are being punished because of our brother. We saw how distressed he was when he pleaded with us for his life, but we would not listen. That's why this distress has come upon us. Reuben replied, did I not tell you not to sin against the boy? You would not listen. Now we must give an accounting for his blood. They did not realize Joseph could understand them. He was using an interpreter. Joseph turned away from them and began to weep, but then came back and spoke to them again. Now I wonder, why is Joseph putting them to this test? I think he wants to see if they've changed. I don't think he's being cruel. Joseph is a man of God, and he recognizes God's use of him, but he wants to put his brothers to the test. And so he's going to send them back, holding one, Simeon, as a captive, with the orders to bring Benjamin back to him. He wants to see if Benjamin is still alive. He also wants to see if his brothers will look out for the younger brother this time, as they did not look out for him. It's a rather elaborate test to see if they've changed. It's a dramatic story, is it not? And it will unfold in a most wonderful way. But what we see in this, again, is that Joseph realizes the hand of God is involved. He knows that God has raised him up to a prominent position. And now he sees that he can be the agent to save his family, and he's going to do that. But he wants to make sure the brothers have changed. And so we see this testing unfolding. It becomes rather dramatic. They will return home, telling Jacob the story. At first, he will refuse to send Benjamin back with them. But then when they grow hungry again, he will relent and send Benjamin back. So a little bit later, the 11 brothers come back, once again presenting themselves before Joseph. And this is going to be the time of the great reveal, when Joseph reveals to them who he is and that God is using him as an agent of redemption. What a wonderful story. Our next time together, we'll look at when Joseph reveals himself to them and how wonderful that is. But for today, I just want you to keep in mind that we can always trust for God to fulfill his purposes. All through these long years, he's used the tragedy of Joseph's life, his betrayal by his brothers, to providentially raise Joseph up to a great position where he could save his people. God always fulfills his plan. Sometimes we wonder about God's timing. We want God to hurry up, but God's timing is always perfect. We can trust him. But also God changes our hearts. And we're even beginning to see that he's beginning to work on the hearts of the brothers. They are beginning to feel some guilt and remorse for the horrible thing they had done 20 years ago. And I think it's a little late now. And well, God's hand always works on us, and he's beginning to change their hearts as well, which is a wonder of redemption. So we see a great unfolding of God's saving grace in this story. Always keep in mind, God is faithful. He's faithful to his promises. He is faithful to his people. He will always accomplish his will and his purpose in our life if we'll just allow him to. Hope you have a great day today. And I'll see you next time as we sort of continue this story of Joseph and see what happens when he reveals himself to his brothers. That'll be for next time. And we'll see you then. Have a wonderful day. And I'll see you next time in our 5-minute Bible study in the book of Genesis.